Hello guys, I am sure most of you must have attempted the CSIR net JRF examination of 2020 which was held on 19th November. All the schedule has been disturbed due to corona pandemic, but I hope things will be back to normal very soon. Uh, I've been quite busy lately, but still I found this question paper from one of my students, and I thought I must analyze this paper for a few questions that I have been discussing with you in my lecture videos. So, without any further ado, let us begin. The question paper for CSIR net JRF for the this year, I would rate it as a little bit tougher, on the tougher side, because several questions, they were straightforward questions, and I would call it tough because it needs a lot of learning, mugging up. I'll discuss with you a few questions, but yes, a few questions were quite easy as well. But in section C, the questions were, I would rather consider them a bit tough because they needed a lot of reading and mugging things. Okay, let us see a few questions related to atmospheric science, oceanography, climatology. So this question, this is a very, concept is quite old, but then this NUVEL-I model of global plate motion, the correct sequence of the plates in increasing order of their angular velocity with respect to the Pacific plate is. I have put here a table from a paper that I managed to find, and NUVEL-I Euler vectors. So it gives us the angular velocity, and if you'll see here, the angular velocity, which is in degrees per million years, we can see here that of these given uh, plates over here that we can see, South America, Antarctica, India and Nazca. So we can, of course, the if we look here, the fastest plate with the fastest angular velocity is the Cocos plate with an angular velocity of 2 degree per million year, 2.08. But out of the given plates, South America has a value of 0.6657, then Antarctica has 0.9093, followed by India, which is 1.1539, and then Nazca plate is 1.42. So it is asking about the increasing order. Increasing order. Now, I am not very sure many of you must have read about this NUVEL-I Euler vectors. Even I was not aware, to be very honest. So NUVEL-I model of global plate motion, now it is something which you have to read a lot. You have to, because when we talk about the plate tectonics and the global plate motions, then it is really unthinkable that in MSc stage these things are taught at this level. So I would consider this question as a tough question, because here you have to keep in mind this table. But yes, in future examinations you can go ahead with this table. You should remember this table, that the fastest plate is the Cocos plate, followed by the Nazca plate, then the Arabia plate, then the Indian plate. So we can say that Indian plate is quite fast, and which is the slowest plate of all these lot. So it is the South American plate, which is the slowest one. Okay, with respect to Pacific plate, so with what they have considered, as the Pacific plate has been taken to be fixed. Okay, all right. Next one, the concentration of trace gases by volume in the lower troposphere in decreasing order. Again, you will have to read the atmospheric sciences paper, atmospheric sciences chapter, and there the most of the books that talk mainly about the tropospheric concentration of gases. But then in the lower troposphere, about the trace gases, the major gases, we all know that oxygen, nitrogen is the highest, followed by oxygen, then carbon dioxide, and blah blah blah. But When we talk about the trace gases, then this is the diagram: carbon dioxide followed by methane, followed by halocarbons, then ozone, and then nitrous oxide. So out of this given options, the option is in decreasing order: carbon dioxide followed by methane, then nitrous oxide, and then nitrogen dioxide. So this is a question which again needs to, it requires you to remember those things. Okay, so this time the paper was a lot about remembering the information. Next question: which of the following statement about satellites in the geostationary orbit is incorrect? Incorrect. So again you have to read. So these are easy questions, but they need a lot of uh, keeping things in mind. So yes, they move in the same direction as that of Earth's rotation. That is the concept of geostationary. That is why they are called as geostationary, because when we look at them from the point of reference of the Earth, they appear that they are in a fixed position because they move in the same direction of Earth's rotation. Therefore, the second statement here will be incorrect. Rest of all, yes, they orbit at a height which is 5.6 times the radius of the Earth. They complete a single orbit in one sidereal day. Uh, if you want to read about the sidereal day, the best material you will find, apart from internet of course, in the book Planet Earth by Caesar Emiliani. They have given the concept of sidereal day. What is a sidereal day? And then GSAT and INSAT satellites are placed in geostationary orbit. That is also correct. Now again you see here that this question was about remembering the information about the geostationary orbit. This is an interesting question. Precambrian rocks are exposed in which of the following cities? Mumbai, Delhi, Lucknow, Bhuj. I have put the answer as Delhi because the Delhi region, it comes in the Delhi fold belt and the Aravallis. Okay, so all Mumbai full of Deccan traps. Bhuj, it is the Mesozoic, and Lucknow, yes, this is the alluvium, recent alluvium. So the Precambrian rocks are specifically exposed in Delhi. Those of you who have put the answer Delhi should smile, and they will get the full marks for this question. So you should have to you should know about the expanse of cratons and fold belts. So remember, whenever there is a region which has craton and fold belts exposed, it will be Precambrian, Archean or Proterozoic. All right. The seasons on the earth occur primarily because of, very easy question, several times you must have come across this, that is the tilt of the earth's axis of rotation. If the axis of earth was not tilted, seasons would not have occurred on the earth. All right, so let us move ahead. It's very simple. Now here red field ratio refers to, if you remember, I had discussed this question in one of my videos about the red field ratio. When we talk about the red field ratio, then it is the ratio of carbon to nitrogen and phosphorus, but where it is in the surface waters of the ocean. And if you remember the values that I had given you here, C is to N is to P, it is 106 is to 16 is to 1. This was the ratios. In one of my videos I had discussed it. Now here it's a bit tricky, that it is the ratio of carbon, nitrogen and phosphorus in the surface waters. Not a difficult question, but it requires you to remember this information. The time interval between consecutive spring and neap tide is, so many of you must have confused that we are talking about consecutive spring and neap tide. It is 14 days, but no, the 14 days is the complete time period. Between two consecutive spring and neap tides, the time interval is 7 days, which you can see in this. So in case of spring tide, the uh, sun and the moon, they are in one line, while in case of neap tides, the sun and the moon, they are perpendicular to each other, and between these two consecutive, because we know what is the lunar cycle duration, so between these two the difference will be of 7 days. So those of you who have put 14 days, sorry guys, it's the wrong answer. All right, now this question, littoral drift is the volume or mass of sediment transported by. Those of you who have read about the sediment transport chapter from the oceanography books must have come across this longshore current and swash. So littoral drift is basically the mass of sediment transported by longshore current which is running, you know, parallel to the shoreline, while swash, it is hitting of the waves on the beach area. So swash, backwash. So swash is that when the water in the under the impact of the wind hits the shoreline and then brings back material, that is called as backwash. So here the options that are given, they are longshore drift and the swash. This will be called as the littoral drift. So nothing much to understand over here. Simply what is the procedure, how this process happens is important. For that you have to read about the sediment transport chapter from the oceanography books. The duration of Cretaceous normal superchron, CNS. Now guys, here you have to again read about the uh, Cretaceous period, and the Cretaceous normal superchron is the time period which was of the duration of 40 million years, and it lasted from, I've seen this value, and it lasted from 120 to approximately 83 million years. Now it's a type of geomagnetic reversal and normal event, where when we are talking about the normal superchron, it means that the Earth's magnetic field coincided with the magnetic north of the Earth coincided with the geographic north of the Earth, and that is why it is called as a normal chron. Now it was a very long period, so read about this. I'll also try to find out some information about CNS, and then if possible I will make up a video and upload on it. But yes, this is again a question which normally people do not come across once they are studying stratigraphy in MSc. So I'll consider this as a tough question. The highest variability of annual rainfall in India is observed over the. Now several people who I asked, they have put this either as Assam Valley region or east coast of India, but what those people did not realize is that it is talking about the highest variability. It did not ask about the highest rainfall, it talked about highest variability. So what is variability? Variability is where the rainfall varies from lowest to highest. So if we look at these portions of India, they are very prone to get optimum amount of rainfall. But the Thar desert region, it rarely gets rainfall. But sometimes if it gets very high rainfall, then that variability is very high. So the Thar desert region will be the correct answer, because it is talking about the highest variability, not about the highest annual rainfall. So the correct answer will be Thar desert. It's an interesting question where you will have to apply some brain. Next one is, which one of the following boundaries approximately represents the great oxidation event in Earth's history? Simple question. It will be Archean and Proterozoic. That age approximates 2300 million years. So we all know that till 2500 million years it is the Archean, and then 2500 to around 550 it is the Proterozoic. So the great oxidation event approximates the Archean Proterozoic boundary. Surface tension is the principal restoring force in which type of ocean waves? If you have seen my video on the waves, ocean waves, there I had talked about the capillary waves, in which the wavelength is very small. So capillary waves, they normally have small wavelength, and therefore the principal restoring force is the surface tension in case of capillary waves. So if you remember, we had talked about the generating force and restoring force. So if you look at the capillary waves, there the principal restoring force will be the surface tension because of its very small wavelength. The earth is shaped like an oblate spheroid. Now when we use this term oblate spheroid, what does it mean? If you look at the shape of the earth, you will see it is not a perfect sphere, rather it is compressed at the poles and then it is bulging at the equator. So it has been seen that the equatorial diameter is around or equatorial radius is around 43 kilometer more than the polar radius. So it is oblate spheroid. Which of the following is true for a disconformity? A very easy question. We all know that disconformity is a type of unconformity in which the unconformity surface has parallel strata, parallel sedimentary strata below it and above it. So that erosional surface has the parallel bed. So therefore it is very difficult to identify a disconformity in the field. So it is a gap in geological record where the strata below and above an erosion surface are horizontal and parallel to each other. Okay, very simple question. Which one of the following is true for the ocean? So according to me, the answer is bicarbonate ions are more than carbonates, which is more than H2CO3. It breaks down, whenever some carbonate or these bicarbonates are dropped into the ocean water, they release the H plus ion, and the bicarbonate ions, they become the most abundant in the ocean water. So according to me, the answer should be first. Select the correct group of forces which are primarily considered in derivation of Ekman spiral in upper ocean surface. We all know that Ekman spiral, it is a type of spiral movement in which under the impact of the wind, the water layers, they are dragged. So we have three things over here. Let me draw it for you. So if this is the wind direction, that is the wind stress, and this is the water column. So what will happen? The top layer of the water will go in the direction as that of the wind. So the water layer just below it will be under the impact of friction. So it will start to move. As it starts to move, it turns due to Coriolis effect, thereby giving an is giving spiral-like shape. So the correct answer should be wind stress, Coriolis force, and friction. These three are the primary forces that cause the formation of Ekman spiral. So the following is fastest spreading ridge on the earth. Very simple, but still you need to remember that the East Pacific rise actually is the fastest spreading ridge on the earth. So this is again a question which you need to remember, easy one. Which one of the following is not an autotrophic organism? I think this question is not very clear, because diatoms and nodularia, these are diatoms and nodularia, these are typical photosynthetic organisms. Nodularia is the cyanobacteria, diatom is a type of algal material which is siliceous and having siliceous exoskeleton, and it is synthetic. Noctiluca and copepods, they both are actually heterotrophs. Copepod is a crustacean, it's an animal, but Noctiluca belongs to the dinoflagellate group of organisms. But it, dinoflagellates, they sometimes also do photosynthesis, but Noctiluca doesn't actually do photosynthesis. It kind of feeds on the organisms, microorganisms. Even though it is a dinoflagellate, it feeds on that by making a false type of foot around it, and then it eats that. So copepod here is a crustacean, it is an animal. That is why I have put this as the correct answer, but still I am not sure what will be the correct answer, because Noctiluca is not uh, a zooplankton, it is a dinoflagellate. So if they consider that, so according to me, this question, in this question, everyone should be given marks. Okay. Rossby number, very simple. Rossby number is a ratio of inertial force to Coriolis force. Need to remember, read about Rossby waves, what they are, and how this Rossby number is generated. One thing you should remember, since it is a ratio, it is a dimensionless number. So it is a ratio of inertial force to Coriolis force. The following assemblage of foraminifera are recorded from bottom to top of a stratigraphic section. This is given, guys, if you remember in one of my videos, a similar type of question was there. So I had told you how to answer this question. Simply, other than Globoratalia, all the others are benthic foraminifera with varying bathymetry. But the occurrence of Globoratalia in the stratigraphic section states that the sediments have been deposited from the deeper layers, means the sea level has been rising. So this rise in sea level is represented by transgressive system tract. This is the trick how to answer this question. Just simply by knowing one of the foraminifera and its details, you can answer the entire question. So answer will be transgressive system tract. Alright, a grain supported limestone containing about 10% lime mud is known as. So I have put this Folks classification of limestone over here. If you see here, original components not bound together that contains lime mud, grain supported is pack stone. If it was more than 10%, if it was a mud supported with less than 10% grains, it would have been mud stone, wake stone. But here it is saying grain supported limestone containing around 10% lime mud, it will be pack stone. Pack stone is the correct answer. So this is a very simple question, but again you have to remember the Folks classification of limestones. Alright, let us now look at this question, very easy one. Dhosaolite, we all know, if we are talking about the Jurassic of Kutch, where we have the Dhosa formation where the oolitic beds are formed. The Karai shales, if you read about the Cretaceous of Trishnapalli, the Uttatur, Nenur groups, there you will get information about Karai shale. So Cretaceous of Trishnapalli, so Karai shale is Cretaceous. The uh, Malari formation and Lacadome limestone. Now this Lacadome limestone, it is actually the silhouette bed, so it is Paleocene Eocene. So basically it is a Paleogene, it is of Paleogene age in the Assam region, northeast region of India, where the silhouette traps and other beds are exposed. And Malari formation is a Norian Rhytier, means it is a Triassic bed in Andhra. So if we match all these, we get the correct answer as 2, where A is Jurassic, B is Cretaceous, C is Triassic, and D is Paleogene. Fairly easy question. An oceanic plate is moving away from the spreading center at a speed of 6 centimeter per year. Assuming that the plate motion is constant with geological time, the location of Gauss Gilbert paleomagnetic epoch boundary from the spreading center will be approximate distance of. So for this, you need to know the age of Gauss Gilbert boundary, and this age is 3.6 million years. So it can be rewritten as 3.6 into 10 to the power 6 years. And what is the speed? 6 centimeter per year. So here speed will be 3.6 into 6 into 10 to the power 6. Alright, it will become 21.6 into 10 to the power 6 centimeters. So it is the total distance covered to 21.6 into 10 to the power 6 centimeter, or in 1 kilometer, how many centimeters are there? 10 to the power 5 centimeters. So the correct answer, so this can be converted to 21.6 into 10 to the power 6 divided by 10 to the power 5. Answer would be 216 kilometer, so or 215 kilometer. So the correct answer is 3 215 kilometer. But to answer this question, you have to know the age of Gauss-Gilbert boundary, and for this it will be better if you remember the ages of the uh, paleomagnetic epochs right from Gilbert, Gauss, Matuyama and Brunes, which is spanned during the last 5.3 million years. So if you remember that, you can easily solve this question. It's a very easy question, but the trick is to remember the age. Köppen's climate symbols with classification types. If you remember, several times I have told, read about the classification of climate from the book D.S. Lal. And once you do that, Köppen's symbol, at the beginning it would seem that it's very difficult, very bulky, but then they have classified it very beautifully according to groups. So group A, group B, group C, group D, group E. So if you do that, you will get these symbols. So if it is EF, it is ice cap, DS continental dry summer, BS is steppe, and AWS is savanna. Correct answer is 4, but again this question is more about remembering rather than understanding the things. Okay, refers to horizontal transport of air, while it refers to vertical transport of air. Very easy. Advection is the horizontal transport. So fog, smog, this is advection. And then vertical transport of air, the convection. Convection currents you have read about. This is the advection is horizontal transport of any fluid, and convection is the vertical transport. Simple question. Which of the following statements related to tropical easterly jet over Indian subcontinent is incorrect? Now here, read about the jet streams. So we have the African jet streams, Somali jet streams, and we have the tropical easterly jet streams. These tropical easterly jet streams, they are generated once the Tibetan plateau gets excessively heated during the summers. So what happens is that here there is a reversed meridional gradient, that earlier when this area was under the high pressure, now because of excessive heating, the high pressure zone changes to low pressure zone, and then the winds, they start blowing from the east towards west. They, once they start flowing, they go over the peninsular India, but remember, it intensifies the southwest monsoon, not the northeast monsoon. So the summer, if the tropical easterly jet streams prevail, then the summer monsoon or southwest monsoon will come a bit earlier. It will be a bit faster, and then it will be intensified. Lot of rainfall happens. Rest all three are correct except the third statement, that the northeast monsoon rainfall increases with intensification of jet stream. It should be actually the southwest monsoon rainfall increases with the intensification of jet stream. Read about it. There are several materials given on the internet. Which of the following statement is incorrect for molybdenum in the ocean? Again, it is, you can't really read about every micronutrient or trace nutrient, trace element in the ocean. So again, I'll consider this as a question which is simply by chance if you get it in front of your eyes. So molybdenum is a micronutrient which is present in very, very less quantity as a molybdate, which is correct. Its concentration is 100 nanomoles, but its residence time is not 1000, rather its residence time is 7 sorry its residence time is 760 kilo years, or 760 thousand years. Okay, 60,000 years. Yeah. All right. Siliceous sediments are abundant on the deep ocean floor at high latitudes. Absolutely correct. In the polar regions, the extremely cold temperatures, they make the waters bit acidic, and that causes the dissolution of the calcareous sediments. But radiolaria are not abundant in high latitude waters, rather it is diatoms. So statement B is untrue. So several times in my previous lectures and videos I have stated this fact, that the siliceous oozes of the polar latitudes or the higher latitudes are diatomaceous, while radiolarian oozes are in the lower latitudes or tropical regions. Okay, so the statement A is correct, but B is incorrect. Which direction of meridional wind stress would cause coastal upwelling at the west coast of India and west coast of Australia? Now, it is an interesting question. To answer this question, try to draw. Let us say this is the west coast of India. So, and this is the west coast of Australia. This is India. Let me change the color. So it is saying coast. It is asking about the coastal upwelling. So remember, on the west coast of India, the coastal upwelling will happen when the waters from this coastal region, they go away from the coast. Similarly, on the western coast of Australia, the upwelling will happen when these waters, they go away from the coast. So to make the coastal waters go away from the coast, the wind has to blow in which direction? In the southward direction. So once it will be blowing southward along the west coast of India, the deflection will be towards the right, it will be away from the coast, while here the wind has to blow northward, so that the deflection is towards the left, away from the coast. So this is not the correct answer. The correct answer is that along the western coast of India, the wind has to blow southward, while along the western coast of Australia, wind has to go northward. So the correct answer is the fourth one. Okay, so it's all about understanding how coastal upwelling happens and how the uh, Coriolis force deflects the coastal waters. So for coastal upwelling in the northern hemisphere, the water has to be deflected towards right under the impact of Coriolis force, and the southward moving winds will deflect the water towards the right or away from the coast, while in southern hemisphere the northward moving winds will deflect them towards left or away from the coast. All right, so this was an easy question, I guess. So I hope you all did well. In the coming few days, I'll try to find out the answers to the questions on typical atmospheric sciences, the baroclinic and barometric types of questions there. I have seen the paper, but overall, if I try to analyze this paper was not easy because it relied more on your memory rather than your application skills of your knowledge. So I would rather say that this pattern, if it continues in the due course of time in the upcoming examinations, you have to read a lot and you have to remember a lot of such questions. Okay, all right, take care, bye bye.